cruise into it now.
Sounds good.
All right. We're live. Eric Spector, round 2.
Round dose.
He's back. And I'm pumped. We got a lot of stuff to catch up on. We just chatting a little bit before and we've had a lot of life changes since the last time we spoke, and business growth and marriages and children and all that kind of stuff. But it's good to see you, man.
You as well. Got married. Yeah, we were talking about this ring before and my fear of degloving my fingers. So I got to get a rubber ring to train with so I don't have to take this off every time I pick up a kettlebell.
Which is
So
frequently.
next on the agenda. After this podcast, I'm going to finally buy a rubber ring so I can keep my wife happy as I work out.
Yeah, and the nice thing is those things will rip and break too, but they're like $25, so it's like not a big deal if you lose or break that one as opposed to the nice one.
Yeah, it'll just be like after like 10 rings, it'll equal the cost of this wedding ring.
Yeah, right. Well, that's awesome, man. I was excited to see you guys got married. It's a fun deal. But how's everything with your training been, man? You've been all over the place. You've been doing a lot of stuff it seems like you've been traveling and doing some stuff a bit too.
Yeah,
more so than usual.
There's a lot of developments in the kettlebell world.
Yeah, I had a client of mine that I've trained for a little while, went down to Belfast last month or whenever it was, the most recent one.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if he was able to catch up to you or whatever, but I told him you were going to be there. But
I don't know if anyone brought. Oh yeah, no, I do. I don't know if you want to say his name right now.
His name. I'll say his first name. His name's Christian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I met him. There were a lot of people though.
That's what it looked like. Those events are getting pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it's growing. It was the second time.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I think originally it was supposed to be an annual event, but now it's a semi-annual.
Gotcha.
So this is the second of the first year, and I don't know exactly how many people went. It was like 150 to 175.
It looked like a pretty packed house for where you guys were.
Yeah, and I had a Touch Grass co-booth, a clothing brand, and so like I was static, I was stationary.
Yeah,
and then I had everyone was coming up to me. I was chatting. My social battery was dead by me.
Just wiped out.
But yeah, I did have a couple people who came up and they're like, "Hey, I know you from so and so," and I think I do remember.
Nice.
Coming up and bringing
well,
you up.
Talk to me about the Kettlebell World. You said there's like some developments happening. It kind of seems like that's been the case for, at least since you and I talked last, some more things have popped up in that realm.
I've been in the Kettlebell World for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what it was like before then firsthand. It existed for sure. Mostly, there were 2 divisions. There was like the strong first, like hard style, with RKC included. But and there was their own drama between that. But then there was like the soft style sport stuff as well, and they're basically divided. And so with the advent of, I don't want to say social media because social media has been around for a while, but because of COVID and its impact on like home fitness and training, the kettlebell just got very big in 2020 and 2021. Yeah. And so this like larger community formed online on Instagram and on YouTube. And so there was this sort of demand for in-person events now. And so Madeline Conti she founded Belfast. Okay. And so she started this whole thing off. And it's basically a culmination of all these different groups and styles where you have traditional hard style plus the sport, juggling, flow, which I don't really do, but it's there. And so you just have a bunch of these different styles and communities that come together for one weekend, twice a year, and the locations change. But the first one is like pretty experimental. We like didn't know what to expect. Yeah. But it was basically like a group of coaches, like 12 coaches, putting on classes. It was like one big workout sesh. Yeah. But what I noticed is that a lot of the participants were actually coaches themselves. Okay. And so it's like more of like a networking opportunity. Sure. Than just like one big workout weekend. Yeah. Although there are a lot of people who go there to train and like to learn. So I think the next one will be more like learning, networking, plus working out. So yeah, it's like she's figuring out like how to transform it. because
that's cool that there was the different sects of the kettlebell space all in that one thing. I was kind of unsure if that was how it was going to be, or if it was, you know, because like you said, there's so much in drama between the different like views on how to train with bells, or just training in general that happens all over the place. But I wasn't sure that that's cool that you get everybody from all the different sort of disciplines that are like excited to be there and do stuff together.
I don't know the details of the drama. Try to stay out of that. I don't want to. I mean, as you know, like within the fitness world in general, there is already a lot of drama.
Yeah,
and it's like there's so much information or misinformation, and within the kettlebell specific world, you have the same thing. But a lot of people just like disagree on like how to use the kettlebell. A lot of people hate on the flows and the juggling just because they view the kettlebell as a specific tool to do X.
Sure.
So they don't want to use it for other purposes. I mean, the people who go there obviously are open-minded and they don't care. But there are salty people who don't want to join.
Did you do any coaching while you were there? Were you just there with the booth?
I did coaching. I did a little. I mean, it was hard because I was mostly doing my booth. But I did like this EMOM class. That was fun, and it was like 30 minutes. We just did like 3 back-to-back EMOMs, which is not really my style of training. I don't like to do a lot of EMOMs. If I do them, it's like at the beginning or at the end or both. Like I sandwich a strength circuit between EMOMs.
Okay.
But it is kind of difficult when you're working with a large group to train like I do.
Yeah.
I do like a lot of reps, a lot of volume. A lot of times I'll just do sets too.
Sure.
And I work with multiple weights of bells. I've like transformed my own kettlebell training more into like a bodybuilding split.
Okay.
Ironic, which is it's kind of like a newer trajectory that I'm going. It's not at all sort of what the kettlebell community does in general, but because of that, I use like at least 3, 4, or even more like weights for my workouts, and you can't really do that with large classes. And so
you need everybody to have like one or two bells, and then that's it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
What was the impetus of you wanting to kind of shift training styles a bit into that more bodybuilding style split, like you said?
Well, I should probably say strength training, not bodybuilding, because I'm not focused on like specific muscles. Growing, like looking for a specific aesthetic, so more strength training. And I think I just realized that I don't want to do too many reps at a certain point. Like, once you're over like 16 reps on each side, it gets to be a lot.
That's a lot.
I'd rather I like sticking within that like 6 to 12 rep range, or even like 4. And for that, it just requires, heavier bells.
Yeah.
But, you're also warming up too. So you're using lighter bells. I really like now working up in weight throughout my workout. So I'll start out with lighter bells and then go up by 4 kg. I'll probably like move up 5 bells typically now.
Yeah.
So I'll start with like a couple light ones and then just go medium and then finish off with heavy. Sometimes I'll go the opposite, where I'll go do like a reverse ladder run, go higher weights to lower. So, but yeah, I just noticed I feel better when I do that type of training. A lot of these like EMOMs and like lighter weight bells, it's a lot of cardio, and I just would rather push my muscles more. I've also been incorporating more sandbag and barbell work in my training, and I just feel like the heavier bells align with that a bit more, because you can obviously get more load with barbells than with kettlebells, unless I'm doing drop sets. I don't know how like specific you want me to get.
Let's do it, man. Get nitty gritty.
Yeah, if I'm doing like drop sets, then it just makes more sense for me to do like a heavy barbell. Say I'm doing like a leg day, right?
Yeah.
Like heavy barbell squats, and then I'll go into like a heavy kettlebell goblet squat, and then I'll drop even further to like a medium weight goblet squat.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing like a drop set with like 3 different weights, that's what I'll do. But it just if you're squatting like 3 plates, it doesn't really make sense to goblet squat at 24 kg.
Right.
After that, it just feels like nothing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's also allowed me to just go heavier too with my bells, and that's sort of changed my way of training. So it is hard programming for the masses when I have, because most people don't have access to that sort of equipment when they're training with kettlebells. A lot of people who train with bells don't even go to the gym. Like they just have their home equipment.
It's usually just a couple of bells. It's not
Yeah.
like a big swath of varying weights,
And
then very heavy either. A lot of people don't have like
Yeah.
the super heavies, you know.
It's hard to get those nowadays too. Like
Yeah.
a lot of these manufacturers are just out of heavy bells. It's
Yeah.
really annoying. Like I've been trying to find a 48 kg for myself. Like I go to a gym with kettlebells and I can find them there obviously, but
Sure.
my heaviest bell that I personally own is a 40 kg and I got that like a year ago.
Yeah.
I've seen I really want a comp 48 bell competition 48.
Oh yeah.
Have you used both comp and cast iron bells?
I've used the comp ones a little bit. I've never used one that heavy though. I think like because at a gym I coached out of like a handful of years ago, right at the beginning of 2020 actually. No, it was 2019. So it's been about 5 years. But they had a pretty big set of comp bells, but the heaviest was, I want to say they had a 30. And that was the heaviest one. But the uniformity in the size, for those like don't know the difference, like all the comp bells are the same size. Yeah. They're just the different weights. So it's kind of weird when you pick up like one of the lighter ones because it looks, you know, it's physically the same size, but then you pick it up and it feels like it's hollow almost because there's like hardly anything in them. But yeah, I haven't messed with the super heavies on the comp ones too much.
They are called, a lot of people call them cheat bells in the hardstyle community because they feel, when you get heavier, they feel so much lighter than their hardstyle counterparts.
Yeah.
And
the handles are a little thinner too, right? Like
they can be. I mean, once you get up in weight, yes, they're thinner. Yeah. So like the comp bells are either 33 millimeters, which is the small size, or the standard 35 millimeters.
Yeah.
But when you go up, I think, I don't manufacture bells, so I don't know the specifics, but I think once you start going from 32 kg up, the handle width is larger than 35 millimeters. I could be wrong. Okay. But yeah, definitely like when you get like 40, 48, the handles are thicker than the comp bells for sure. And so that's one reason why it's easier to lift heavier comp bells. But also the weight distribution within like the actual bell portion, the body of the bell, it's tighter, and I think that makes it a lot easier too. So like when the first time I actually touched a 48 kg comp bell was at Belfast a few months ago. Okay. Because it was there. I just, for some reason, I just never saw any in person. And I just picked it up, snatched it like it was a 40, like it was 8 kilograms lighter. Yeah. Like, what the hell? Like I was just repping out snatches. Like, why is this so much easier? And so it really does make a difference. I am curious, like, what the impact is on training. Yeah. Because, like, how it's strange that the same weight can feel so much different.
Seriously.
Based off of the handle width and just the size of the bell. And I'm curious if that lends itself to different muscle growth.
Yeah, very well could, because I only have one 48, and it's a cast iron one. And I got it several years ago. But I only have one. And so I'm like you, like I've been wanting to try and find one more so I have a pair of them, you know, for like just doing even carries or just, you know, deadlifts and stuff with that. But grabbing that thing on the handle is like grabbing a tree branch, man. Like it's as thick as my wrist in some places, it feels like.
I have really small hands, unfortunately. Yeah. People don't realize like how important grip is for snatching a kettlebell.
Yeah.
So I would prefer for the heavier bells to comp bells. But yeah, if you can find another 48, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I know. And the other thing is, I mean, unless it's, you know, I think Kettlebell Kings might be the only place. I don't even know. I haven't ordered one from them for such a long time, but they did free shipping when I got on my other ones before. But like, that's the other part of it. When you get the heavy ones, it's like you're paying twice for it just to ship it to wherever you are. So.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Wait, sorry. Something happened in the video. Cut out. But yes, you have to pay a lot for shipping and payments. In general, Kettlebell Kings is out of stock of like every bell at this point. I have no idea why or how, but it's really hard to find them. I know Great Lake Taguria has some in stock.
Dude, he makes heavy ones too. Like he does the super heavies.
Yeah, I think his heaviest is like 100 kg. Something like that, 220 pounds. It's crazy.
It's wild. It's wild. I don't even know, like, practically, like I can't even think of more than one or two things I'd even do with that, you know?
I live on the third floor of my apartment building, so I would just annoy my neighbors by swinging that thing upstairs at 3 a.m. That sounds like a
Send it
good
through the floor if you drop it too hard,
yeah.
man.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to transport it anywhere. Like
Right.
that thing, wherever they deliver it, that's where it's staying. So
Well, I
I'll
was
just
gonna say you'd be safe from people stealing it, even if you left it down on the ground floor outside. Nobody's
I
running
know.
away with that thing.
Could you imagine? Sometimes when I'm like working out at the park, I just like leave my bells on the lawn as I'm like transporting stuff to my car. And I'm like thinking like, is anyone going to steal this? I don't think thieves are really interested in stealing kettlebells.
Yeah, not only that, they couldn't. Like
How
nobody's
far
gonna.
could you actually run with a
Yeah,
couple of 28s?
right.
Just like farmers running with them.
That's hilarious, man. So you mentioned you've been working in some sandbag stuff as well. Are you using
Yeah.
it kind of in the same context as you do with the barbell stuff, just to get some extra loaded movements that are
Yeah,
heavier than what you
dude.
do with bells?
After like a year of doing single kettlebells, I
Yeah.
started using doubles. And I
Yeah.
was like, doubles helped me so much. It's
Yeah.
like a cheat code. It's like a hack. And then moving to sandbags did the exact same thing. I could just add so much more load. And I've noticed my kettlebell strength has gone way up since I started. And I only have a 150-pound sandbag. I'm gonna
That's
get
a
a
heavy
200
bag,
soon.
dude. That's a heavy
Huh?
bag, though. That 150 pounds on a sandbag is
Dude,
heavy.
when I first started, I was like, how the hell do people do this? After just like a month though, your
Yeah.
body adapts and you just
Mm-hmm.
get used to it. Um, and I got used to it. But when I first started doing some like just front squats with them,
Mm-hmm.
my ears were ringing. I was like, this thing is hitting my entire nervous system. I don't
What
know
is
what's going
happening?
on. Yeah, I was like feeling lightheaded, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I realized I just wasn't used to activating like 80% of my muscles
Yeah, at once.
for at once for like an extended period.
Yeah.
Kettlebells are great. They work your body as like a chain, but it just doesn't hit as
Yeah.
many things at once, especially with that load. So, there are pros and cons to everything. I'm not one of those dogmatic guys where I'm like, oh, you can only use kettlebells. I think
Right.
you should incorporate as many things as possible. For a lot of people, though, who are just training at home and they don't necessarily have access to all this stuff,
Sure.
then yeah, kettlebells are great. But if you do, like, also a sandbag, just to give people an idea, if you don't own a sandbag, you get it delivered. It's just the bag. Like
Yeah.
you fill it up with your own sand,
Yeah.
and that's good because shipping is really cheap. Unlike you're talking about getting kettlebells shipped to you.
Yeah.
Really expensive to ship a 106-pound bell.
Yeah.
But if you're just shipping I don't even know, it's made just like I don't know, it's cotton, whatever it's made out of, whatever material a sandbag is, it's really light for them to ship that. And then you just buy, I go to Home Depot, you get what is it, 50 pounds of sand for like $5.
I was gonna say it's less than 10.
Yeah.
For 50 pounds. So it's
And
like
yeah, it's like the perfect travel companion too, because you can just dump that sand out and then you can put it in your suitcase. Like when I'm visiting family, I just do that. I just dump the sand out. I go to, like when I'm visiting my mom, let's say like in LA, go to the beach, get some free sand.
Yep.
You gotta work out on the beach, dump it out when you're there, and then like bring it back home. Like you don't have to. So anyway, I think everyone who just works out at home should get a sandbag of their own because it is a really cheap option. It hits a lot of muscles. And it is, I don't know. I'm an advocate of it. I've transformed. Yeah.
I have 5 bags, I think, that range from 80, and my heaviest, it's got a heavier capacity than what I've got it filled up at. But if I fill it any more, like it's because mine are like the pillowcase shape where they close at the top, and then you like wind it around the top, so it's not like a duffel or anything. But the heaviest one that I have right now, I think, sits at 2.
Nice.
And it's like you mentioned how hard it is just to do, a front loaded like bear hug squat with it or anything like that. But that's only half of it. Like you got to get it from the ground, lap it, get it up to that thing. I mean, and that's, I think, what a lot of the benefit to them is too, like and especially mine that don't have handles, like you're literally open palm gripping loosely packed sand and then have to get that thing 200 pounds from the floor up onto your chest. And that's an extra half of a workout just to do that every set. You have to do it.
It's like, it's a mental burden every time. I think most of it's just a mental thing, but yeah, you're right. And I think when people talk about like functional fitness stuff, in my mind, I just think about that as like you have to pick it up from the ground. Even before you start the set, you have to pick it up and then get into position and then start. So how many bags do you have? Do you know what brand they are, by the way?
Mine are the Strongfit equipment brand. And they have, and so they're the lighter ones, the 2 lighter ones, which are 80, and then 106-ish is like what that one is right now. They're more like a pillowcase where they've got kind of like the pointed bottom and then it closes at the top. So it looks just like a pillowcase. But then the heavier ones are more cylindrical and then close at the top. So they're a little bit more uniform shape. But even and I think it's called like the Strongman package or something like that. It comes with like 4 or 5 bags. But they're like a neoprene / nylon deal. And they're so freaking durable. Like you could drop them. He's done, the guy that makes them has done videos of him dropping like a 150-pound bag off a 2nd story balcony, and the bags like won't explode. And if they do, like he'll replace them. So
what's that guy's name? The owner?
Julian Pinot is his name.
He and his wife live in like Bali or something, right?
They do now. Yeah, he was in Torrance, California. Does that sound right?
But they're like, aren't they European or something?
He's French, I believe.
French, okay.
Yeah, but he coached at for CrossFit. He helped the guys over at CrossFit Invictus for a while.
Okay.
About a decade or so ago, and then kind of branched off and started doing just the Strongfit stuff, and then started making his own bags and everything. But he was like he did strongman competing for a long time, and so like the heavy bags, that's super translatable over to strongman stuff, obviously with like Atlas stones and even bags. They do bag work in strongman stuff as well. But dude, I have loved bags, and he was really kind of the one, honestly, 7 or 8 years ago that really got me into him a lot. And like he has and I use it with my guys that I coach all the time, and they love it and they hate it. But one of the tests that we do a few times throughout the year is to load a bag with half your body weight and walk a mile. And you have to, you can carry it in any way you want in this particular test. You can carry it up on your shoulder, you can bear hug it, you can drop it as many times as you need to, but your goal is just complete the mile. Wow. But the idea is the more you drop it, the crappier it gets, the farther along you get, because then you got to keep picking it up. So you get guys that, I think we had one guy, like the first time he did it, because the first time you do it, it breaks you, man. Like half your body weight in a bag, carrying it for that far. The first time he did it was like 24 and a half minutes or something like that to walk a mile. And then and then we did a block of training, a couple blocks. The next time he did it, it was like 13 and a half. So it's like you mentioned, like you just get used to that weight, that it doesn't even become a thing. And you get used to how it feels and how you carry it and get more efficient with the process. But we do that one, and then a 400 meter with like a 85 poundish, just like one lap around a track basically. But the goal is to not drop it. Wow. And so
you do all this around a track.
That one, yes. The one with the mile, like if they want to do it around a track, that's great. I've done it just like I've mapped out a mile around my neighborhood, and I've just done that. So I'll like be walking down the sidewalk and have to drop it or whatever. But the 400 meter one, I think, is even harder because you have to bear hug that one. And so you make it, if you've never done it, like you make it even 100 meters into that thing with like an 85-ish pound bag, your low back is just lit up. But then the same thing, like you do that enough, you'll cruise 400 meters after a couple of weeks. Yeah. And then it's nothing. But like, if you can do that, if you can do 400 meters, bear hugging an 85 pound bag and it's nothing, like you're never going to hurt your low back, dude, unless it's like trauma, like you get hit by a car. Like you're not going to have like the low back problems that people associate with training heavy,
Yeah. It's like, I always go back to this. It's like the less engineered a tool is.
Yeah.
It's like the better it is. I don't want to say the better it is for you, but like the more muscles it'll hit, like, and it'll like show the weak links in your chain.
Absolutely.
But if you have a more engineered tool, what I mean by that, like if a tool is engineered a lot, like a leg press, like you're not going to hit everything.
Yeah, it's designed to hit one specific section very efficiently.
Exactly,
and the sloppiness is usually kind of what helps a lot of growth a lot of times because you have to adjust and like learn how to flex and structure and secure weight awkwardly, you know?
Right. Yeah. But you're just like forced to learn that right away with sandbags or even like kettlebells or even like barbells. I mean, a barbell is just like a, you know, it's a line with some stuff on the end with some plates. Like, it's not that engineered.
Right.
But, you know, with all these machines, you really don't activate your whole chain. So, but like, yeah, I mean, everything in life is like that too. When it starts out really hard, you know, you're talking about just doing the 400 meters, and then you just get used to it. Like, you know, do you play guitar? You play guitar?
I do. Yeah.
Like when you first started, how old were you?
11.
Do you remember your fingers hurting a lot on the strings?
And I'll tell you what, it happens now if I don't play for long enough. Like even, you know, I have always still? Like I have kind of perma calluses always, but if I go a couple of months and don't play anything, the first day I'll do it because I'll play way longer than I probably should the first day back. But then the next morning, I'm like, dang, my fingers are sore.
Yeah. But you get used to it really quickly. But like that, the first time, like the first month or 2 months or whatever, when you're learning, they hurt like, for like every day after.
Yep.
And that's a big deterrent for people. Like they won't continue because like, I don't want my fingers to hurt. But once you get over that hump, you're fine. And then you can like actually start like learning and you're not focused on the pain. And I feel like it's the same thing with sandbags and kettlebells, just like training in general. It's just, you get used to it.
Yeah.
And I've always been amazed at just people in general. When someone invents a new thing, they ultimately eventually get to that point after it's because how do they know that it's just going to stop sucking?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like whoever invented the guitar is like, yeah, this sucks, but I'm just going to keep doing this. Maybe it'll work.
maybe it won't suck one day.
Yeah, maybe it won't. Anyway, but
dude, it's funny because I used to run track.
Oh wait, hold on, you paused.
Am I there? You got me?
Yeah, now you are.
Got me back now?
There we go. Messaging you that you paused. Yes.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, I used to run track and I ran 400, which is like the worst race ever. And there was a coach I had that always used to like to tell us, because you always feel the same after a 400. Like it wrecks you every time you do it. If you're doing it right and you're running fast and you're running how you're supposed to, like it's just over quicker the better you are at it.
Yeah.
Like it always feels the same. You're just faster, so you can get it done quicker.
Yeah, just get it done quicker. You'll feel the same after, but there'll be less suck because you'll be doing it a lot faster. That's fine.
Exactly. So talk to me a little bit about you had a big, huge, you know, kind of website reveal built out, and then kind of your whole membership deal with your programming that you do also was pretty awesome. How did that because you did it all yourself too, which is commendable on your part that you would spend that time doing that, man.
Yeah, dude, I wanted to, you know, people ask me how I train. And so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like put my workouts out there. Like if you want to copy my workouts, like have at it. So I just created like a membership thing. It's called Eric's Weekly Kettlebell Workouts it's the program. I don't like calling it a program because I'm not like programming it for other people. It's like for myself, but like at the end of the day, anyone can do it, you know, as long as you're not injured in a specific way. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, I did the site myself. It's called Bellmade.co, and it's growing now. I'm like adding more than just my weekly kettlebell workouts. For people who don't want to commit, I put like I call it 7 stupid simple circuits. It's basically just like 7 circuits that you can do with kettlebells that'll like hit everything. Yeah. And you can repeat them to your liking. And then I have like challenges on there as well. I don't promote it as much right now. For the next like month or two, I won't be promoting it as much because I'm actually working with the team to one, the website's going to look a lot different in a couple months. I'm redesigning it so that there can be more user functions so people can actually track their workouts as they're going. Nice. When I work out, I use a whiteboard. Yeah. And so I'll just like mark off, like I write my whole circuit. Like I have like, you know, say this is like a full body day. I'm doing like a circuit of like these 3 exercises for the first block. And then I'll do like the next block of like whatever circuits. Maybe I'll have like an EMOM at the end or something. Yeah. But I like check off like, okay, I did 1 round, 2 rounds, and I want people to be able to do that as well. And so I'm working with this app development team, and they're making that a function. because I learned like CSS and HTML to build this website, but stuff like user functionality where it like tracks every user's input, that's way more advanced than what I can do. Like I'd rather focus and put my time on like the actual content than just making it look good. So I've like I finally accepted that I have to hire someone.
Was that the reason that you did it on your own before? You just wanted to learn it and do it and didn't want to hire it out, or what was the?
Yeah, I was sort of out of necessity. I mean, I'm Jewish, so I'm like pretty cheap. I didn't want to like spend the money, but also like I wanted full control over the aesthetic and like the feel of it all.
Yeah.
And I was only able to achieve that if I did it on my own.
Okay.
But now I need help going. I got from 0 to 1, but now I need to go further, and I need some leverage for that. So that's fine.
Did you mess? And I think maybe you said something about it at one point, but did you use a lot of help with like some AI stuff to help build it? Because I'm curious about that, man.
Dude, I use ChatGPT for like everything.
That's crazy.
I paid for the 4. I was using the 4. I think it was like right before 4.0 came out when I was doing this, but like I was like, I would ask it questions like how do I, like the first one was probably like, how do I change like the background color with like with with the HTML, and then it would like spit out this code.
Yeah.
And then I would, upload that to the website, and then I could then edit it from there. And I would just add I would just iterate. I would add lines of code as I went. And because I wanted to make the buttons a certain style, I wanted to like reposition them. I wanted to make my own like custom blocks for stuff. And so after probably like 3 months of building this thing out, it like finally came to what I could do. And now it's gotten to the point where like I can't do this stuff anymore. But I didn't want, the reason why people are probably listening to this and like why like there's like you can use all these third-party apps like Trainerize, like Train Heroic, there's Samble. Samble's really big in the kettlebell world, and it's like that's good, but I wanted my own thing. I wanted my own pirate ship, and I wanted it to look a certain way. Like I wanted people to have the same experience, like the same whiteboard experience. I call them toilet friendly workouts, because you should be able to, what I mean by that is you should be able to look at one screen and know what your whole workout is.
I like that.
Easily.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people like write it out on like rows or like on an Excel file when it's like, but that's not, for a lot of people who do sign up for these programs, they don't necessarily have the experience to know like what like 5 by like 5, if they just see 5x5, it's like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So like they want it, like you should write it out for the lowest common denominator. Even if you do have someone who's experienced, it's good to just have like a visually pleasing, simple way to see like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing for my workout today. And all these third-party apps didn't have exactly what I wanted. There was a lot of scrolling. There's a lot of like pages to go through. And in my opinion, it was like over-engineered in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Plus, I wanted to put my own brand on it. So that's sort of why I'm doing this, and I'm having fun. I enjoy it. People are liking it. It's different. It's me. I like being authentic on with my internet persona, and this is just an extension of that. So it's going well. It's growing. Once the next iteration is out, which I think will be, so it's like the end of April now. It'll be like the end of June, which is when the update will be, and then a couple months after that, in like mid-August, I think it'll be on the App Store. So
nice.
Fingers crossed.
That's awesome.
I'm like,
man.
I hope I didn't shoot myself in the foot by just saying, but that's like the timeline right now. And I'm like,
vaguely, don't put a date on it. That way nobody's going to be, hey, where is it?
Expecting it. People ask like, where's the app? I'm like, it's not an app right now. It's just a website. No, it's not a normal fitness thing right now, but it'll get there. I'm just
there's something to be said though. Yeah, there's something to be said though for having all of it owned yourself and built out, like instead of having to rely, like you said, on all these third party different services and apps, and just be like, nope, it's all mine. It's all in one place. It's like, because I think that too. And I'm sure you probably have had this thought with like Instagram specifically, or like, that's where your audience is, and one day Instagram could just like disappear.
Yeah.
And it's like, that'd suck, because that's a lot of people's main channels for a lot of stuff. But being able to have everything you're on your own with your own separate deal, and like, I know you have like the Discord deal also with your community in there as well. So like these other places diversifying a little bit, but then also maintaining control of it yourself. So like if Instagram goes away, it's like you're not all of a sudden floating in space with nothing. That's super helpful.
You're always dependent on like the internet overlords in one way or another. Like even if Instagram does go away, which I don't see anytime soon.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people are like, oh my God, TikTok's going to like kill Instagram, which like it did in some cases.
Yeah.
Like it destroyed what Instagram was because Reels became a thing. And and you have to cater to what the algorithm wants. And that's always annoying. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, just be authentic, make stuff that you actually. One thing that I will say is like when I first started posting, I was like, I messed up in the sense that I was posting stuff that I didn't actually like train.
Oh,
like I fell into that trap.
Yeah.
For a few months of like posting flows and juggling and I did do that, but I realized that it's like it wasn't my full training and I was just doing it to post it, and I was like, it kind of grossed me out, and I was like, I can't do that. So now I make sure like I'm only posting what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
People don't want to be misled or just like entertained.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope what I put out does entertain people, but I don't want to have to think like, oh, I have to cater to what the Instagram algorithm wants right now. But yeah, to your point, it's like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket either. So
yeah, which is cool.
Yeah. And
then
I have the community on Discord, which people like, because to be fair, a lot of third-party apps have like way more functionality than I could ever create. Like,
right.
I'm not going to create a second Discord just for my like.
Yeah, right.
Discord's awesome, and it might be complicated to a lot of people who have never been on it. They might think like, oh, what is that, like a gamer thing or whatever? Like, but no, it's like an awesome platform that you can like be in a community with. That's way better than I think like most. It's kind of like Slack, like.
It's like Slack, but I think a lot of people that use it would, because I've had this too, where I've been a part of a few and had a few where it kind of allows it to be what Facebook groups used to be when they were cool. Like before they just
years.
I know, same, but like before it got just flooded with like people spamming it with ads and like with all this other stuff that nobody wants to see when they join a community like that. It's like, so it removes a lot of that stuff, which is nice. It just strips it down. It's like, we're talking about stuff in here and there's different channels and that kind of stuff. So it's really cool for that regard.
Yeah. You can put different channels. I mean, as the moderator, I have like full autonomy in terms of like, I've never had to do this. Luckily, like I've never blocked anyone. I think the community,
send them out.
The communities that I can find right now,
I think I'm in it too.
Like almost 700 people, and it's a good amount. It's like awesome.
That's awesome.
But it's not like too much where it's like out of control,
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've got the Touch Grass, the apparel also, which is last time we spoke was pretty still in its infancy in a lot of ways. So how's the growth been there?
Good. Yeah. Touch Grass, passion project. I just like wanted good fitness clothes that didn't feel like plastic. And so like, I'm making sure okay. This is the thing about entrepreneurship at this point. I'm going through like multiple changes at once, changing Bellmade. And then I'm also changing Touch Grass Co. at the same time. And I've realized that like, if I have these two companies, I can't be doing massive changes to both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
I am doing that, but I shouldn't be doing it. Like I should just do one, focus on that, let the other one roll, and then like switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm currently changing manufacturers for Touch Grass Co. I'm moving everything to India. Currently, I have like 3. It's like Guatemala, US, and China for Touch Grass Co. And it's like really expensive to do that. First of all, to have 3 different manufacturers for like a few products, and then the quality too. The quality control is just a lot harder with all those 3.
Sure.
So I'm in the middle of switching that over. I don't know how much people want to hear about this, like the business side of things.
I find the business stuff interesting because I do the same thing too. Not with the apparel, but it's like there's a lot of guys that are business owners and entrepreneurs that listen. Okay. So I'm curious too, just in general, like the managing of 2 companies that are growing in all of it. Like how do you how do you specifically separate yourself to make sure you're allotting what's needed to each?
Touch Grass Co. started as a passion project, and it still is. It was my way of using my creative mind to like design stuff, and then also figure out how to print them on t-shirts and develop like sick fitness like workout shorts that I would actually want to wear. And so, but the creativity aspect does sort of transform once you're trying to sell stuff. And you have to figure out like the economics of everything. And so when it comes to the manufacturing of things, I just experienced like two painful issues in terms of sizing with my shorts. I'm trying to release these two new shorts. And for some reason, the manufacturer input the wrong number for the bottom width of the shorts for both designs. And so both legs flared out at the bottom. So it looks like each leg is wearing a dress. And I was like, I can't sell these. And so I had to like figure out how to actually fix them with the manufacturer. It's like, are they going to refund me? Are they going to like make new ones? Am I going to send these back? If I send them back, it's going to be a lot of money to ship them. As we were talking about with kettlebells, like a lot of this weighs a lot. So we were going back and forth to figure that out. It's going to be resolved in a couple of weeks. And, but just the headaches that come with it are very annoying. I can't be like, I'm at like a certain point where it's like I can't do all this on my own. Like I need to hire people to either talk to like the manufacturer. I mean, this is the thing too. I'm very neurotic in terms of my like the specificity of things. I want things to look and feel a certain way. Like I want quality,
which isn't a bad thing. Like that's
like, it can be kind of bad if I can't do it, if I like eat too much, if I like so. Point being is it's like a balancing act between both sides, the left and the right brain. You know? And also I have to promote it on Instagram and everything. I got to keep up with that account and I don't know. I'm having fun with it though.
Do you still do all the video editing too?
Yeah, I do.
So I mean, dude, you're doing like 10 different jobs, not just.
But you know what? You know what though? It's like I learn things. I iterate and I learn things like as I go. So like if I had to learn all this at once, there's no way.
Yeah, for sure.
But like if you're learning one at a time and you're just like leapfrogging, you're just like growing, you're adding one skill on top of another. Having said that, the actual when I was a kid, when you're like a kid and you're in like high school, you're writing essays. I did this thing where I just focused too much on the aesthetics of the paper and not actually like the meat of it. Which is something I've changed after I joined the Marine Corps, and that like really changed my perspective on making sure it's quality, like the actual content, before you're just making it look pretty. But I do have like an artist's brain where like I want to make stuff look pretty, but like that comes second. Like it has to have good quality content underneath it all. For sure. And so like that's like the apex value that I have is making sure like the actual delivery, the thing that you're delivering has to be quality. And then the marketing comes after that. And so that's sort of where I'm at now. It's like I put that first and then I can do the other stuff later. So I don't post as much as I used to because I need to make sure the actual product is good. In both in Bellmade and in Touch Grass Co. And so that sort of slows me down in terms of posting. But people aren't going to want to come back if you give them like shit products,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm curious too if there was a point, maybe even just since we last spoke, but where like mentally you get to the point where you have to take the step from becoming like using the creative part of yourself, like you said, to for the designs or the coding, whatever it is, where you have to shift and it's like, okay, I'm not the creator right now. I have to be the business owner for a second. And like, you have to look at it a little bit, like you said, you have to look at things a little bit differently in order to take, kind of the next step with where the business is and where it's going. If you want it to get to this place that you envision, you have to you can't be stuck in the same, I just want to make it look cool. Right. I got all kinds of designs, but like at some point you got to be like, okay, and I need to be the business owner now to make sure things work well too.
Yeah. So I guess that would be like the third tier of it. 'Cause it's like, one is like being the coach and making sure that like the programming is good. So that's most important. And then 2 is like the delivery system is good. And then 3 is like, the admin stuff.
Yeah.
I guess I would, if I wanted to make it like a metaphor, it's like a horse with a carriage. It's like the horse has to be strong enough to deliver the content inside the carriage. And then, but also that you have to feed it and hydrate the horse too, to make sure it runs smoothly.
And then you have to steer the horse.
You have to steer the horse. You have to like make sure that your carriage is like well stocked and well equipped. And like just just being the one guy to make sure all that stuff runs smoothly. It can get stressful at times, but I will say that it is so fulfilling too. As someone who is only an employee leading up to this, I am so much more engaged with life because I have to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Whereas as an employee, you know that paycheck is coming. And so there's less of an incentive for you to work as hard as you would. Like, because as an entrepreneur, you eat what you kill. And you're only going to kill if you're like on point all the time. And so I'm so much more connected to life because I have to be. And I think that everyone should, even if they're not a natural entrepreneur, they should experience that. There's this thought problem, I guess you could call it the principal agent problem. Do you know what that is? It's an economic term. It's basically this concept, and it's said in a smart way. The principal agent problem is just the idea that as a business owner, there's this disconnect with the CEO or the owner and the employees because of the incentive structures. And so you'll see a lot of issues that arise in terms of quality. So like, I'm trying to think of a specific analogy. Like if you're hiring like a law firm and you are sold on this team of lawyers, you'd much better go with like a small boutique law firm because the person that you talk to is the one who's actually going to handle the case. You don't want to like hire this law firm that you talk to one person, they hand it off to their associates, and they're like completely disconnected from not only the issue but also the result that happens, because at the end of the day they're going to get paid anyway. But if someone's reputation is on the line, they're much more likely to get a quality job done. And as a business owner, I feel that it's like you can only put out quality, or else you will feel it. And so,
you made an interesting point too about just the feeling of freedom with it almost too, which I think a lot of people wouldn't associate. Like people would associate more freedom with having something consistent like a paycheck, because they're like, I'm always going to get this. I can then just kind of do what I want and whatever. But then that could also go away.
Right.
Like
that's
just
exactly
one
right.
day and you have no idea what to do.
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about dependency on Instagram, and like, you don't want to be dependent on your employer either, because I think it's like most people like managing risk instead of taking risk. And so like, I feel like a paycheck is like a risk management decision. But that works 99% of the time until you get laid off. And then it's like, great, now I have to like ask someone else to pay me money. Which is fine. Like as long as, assuming you have like a marketable skill set and everything. And maybe that's the lifestyle you want, which is totally cool. I find no fault. I'm not saying it's bad to be an employee at all. Like, I think that's awesome. Like I said, I want to hire employees eventually.
We need them still.
But I'm in terms of my relationship with life and reality, it's shifted becoming an entrepreneur because my outlook has changed. And I think that's just an important quality that a lot of people should feel is just having the weight of risk on their shoulders, and like learning how to actually put out quality stuff for for their customers. And it'll make them a better employee, I think. If I ever did go back to being an employee, which I don't want to do, but if I ever did, I think it would make me a much better employee, because now I think like an owner. And and it's only because I understand that my reputation is at risk, is at stake. And that would not be the case necessarily. I mean, if you're an employee, you have to make sure that your reputation lies with your coworkers and your boss. As like an owner, like my reputation is on the line with all my clients and with the public, because in my line of work, I am like a public facing person. And so if I don't put out quality stuff, then people are they're gonna see that right away.
Yeah. So. And it's funny in that world of business ownership, entrepreneurship, I think the management, you saying risk management versus risk taking, I think was a brilliant way to put it, because I think people are afraid a lot of when they take the jump in entrepreneurship or whatever, like there's going to be times where things don't work or not having the business output that I want to bring in what I need. And like, that's all waves. That's peaks and valleys and seasonalities that's just part of being a business owner. Like nobody is ever going to have the straight diagonal line upward trajectory of stuff. Like, yeah. and that's part of it, because I've made I say it's a joke, but probably isn't to some degree, but I've had the thought several times of like, I can just close this laptop, take my phone and just careen it off a cliff into the sea and like go work at the store down the road, because like I just have like weeks sometimes where it's just heavy and it sucks and like nothing's working how I want it to. I'm not getting the response, or I'm not getting whatever it is in business. It could be a million different things, but like you said, you're developing all these different skills as the person who runs the thing, to where now, like, even if things go crap for extended period of time, I'm not worried about my ability to get out of that, because like I've developed a lot of those skills. I know like something went wrong, I know how to fix it and get out of it. It doesn't get rid of those times at all. You just get better at getting out of them. It's kind of like the 400 meter analogy. Like, it's always going to suck. You just get better at it.
Right. Yeah. It's like the first time you pick up the sandbag, it freaking sucks, but you get used to it. And then you go heavier. But yeah, like, especially when you first start out as a business owner, it's just like, you're just getting you're like, how, but then you survive.
Yeah.
And then you look back and like, how did I survive? And you learn lessons. Then you can like iterate and I like looking at life like as a game in that sense. You're just leveling up. Same with fitness.
Yeah.
You start out with certain weights. Over time, you're able to lift heavier, do different movements, and there's a lot of parallels in that world. And I think that's why a lot of people find peace through movement, through working out, because they see the parallel. They're like, oh, this same mental hurdle that I had to go through to get this set done is the same feeling that I had during X or Y problem that I had in life. And I feel that with entrepreneurship too. It's a fun journey.
It just builds that resilience in being able to just handle problems. That's what I've noticed.
Anti-fragility.
Yes, that's a good one. Do you have any because I was looking at some of your designs just crack me up for the shirts. Like I love, first of all, just the style. I love like kind of there's a lot of them that have like kind of that retro.
That's what I love, that era, the pre-digital era.
Yes, kind of like the bubbly letter 70s vibe kind of stuff on a lot of it. I love, but when you're doing a lot of this stuff, how does your creative process go? Is it literally just something like you think of it and you're just like, I just got to kind of sketch it out, or how do you go about building some of this stuff out from like a design perspective? I'm curious.
Well, I always start with like an idea, like meaning a phrase, like a word, like a phrase or a sentence, or like something that really speaks to me. So they all have meaning in one way or another, even if it's like a funny phrase or if it's a serious one.
Yeah.
It's always just like a message that I want to get out, that like I care enough about to put on a freaking t-shirt, because I'm going to wear this in public and I'm going to stand in line at a coffee shop and the person behind me is going to read this and they're going to have to like, they're going to have a feeling when they read it. So it all starts there. And then I don't physically draw the designs. I hire artists to do that.
Okay.
So that's where it comes to like delegating stuff, because I don't actually I'm not skilled enough for that.
Yeah.
But I do the designs in terms of like the layout, the text, like the font and everything like that. But so like, which one are you referring? I can reference any of
the drugs are fun, but have you tried snatches? This is one of my favorite ones.
I don't even know where that came from, like the word, like the phraseology of that.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was like a funny thing to put on a shirt. And that's a different one. But ironically though, that's like the most popular out of all the shirts.
Is it?
But it's also the most controversial.
Yeah.
Right. Like one of my one of my mom's friends, one of the friends of my mom, was, I guess her son like died of a drug overdose, and she got offended by it. But I mean, at the end of the day, man. It's also like you're saying that that snatches are better than drugs.
Yeah,
so it's
like you're misreading the message.
Right. So some people took offense to it, I guess, but it's all in good faith. And yeah, that one sold out quickly. I think I got some more of that one. But coming out with some new ones in a bit, changing it up a little bit. Getting into more serious themes, which is probably really? Not the smart. Yeah. Well, more
serious in what way?
Huh? More like philosophical messages that I care about. This is like not kettlebell training. I don't know if like your audience only focuses on training stuff.
Not at all.
Dude, did you see what was it? Poor Things?
Yeah, I did not see that
Poor
one.
Things. Dude, there's this quote. Do you ever watch a movie and there's a quote in there where you're just like, wow. Like, yeah, I paused it. I was like, let me just think about that real quick.
Okay.
Can I read it to you?
Yeah.
I have to find it. I don't have it memorized. By the way, we're in the deep end right now of the podcast, huh?
I love it.
1 sec.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is very this dead noise is very entertaining.
No, it's building tension. It's building suspense.
No, it is. I'll just talk through like the designs as I find this, but it is just mostly a creative outlet for me that I really didn't expect for this company to like grow much at all. I thought it would just be like a fun thing to do and
make a few shirts that you like, and
and it resonated with people, which is like a blessing. And it's really nice that I can provide this stuff to other people, because I don't like most graphic T-shirts.
I'm the same, man. I am the same.
I'll send you the drugs one if you want.
Yeah, nice.
All right, this is the quote. It's from Poor Things. It is only the way it is until we discover the new way it is. And then that is the way it is until we discover the new way it is. And so it goes until the world is no longer flat, electricity lights the night, and shoes are no longer tied with ribbons. And I just think it's such a good sentence that like encompasses the way things change over time. And it's also, it made me think a lot, because while I find that quote to be true, there are also just like certain truths that stick with us that never change. Like there are first principles that are always consistent. And like in terms of weight training, it's like not even the back squat, because now that's controversial. Never mind. But like, I don't know, what's a non-controversial exercise? The push-up?
Yeah,
even that's controversial, because people
somebody will find something. Somebody will always find something.
Right. But certain ideas or principles conceptually last for years, like thousands of years. Like the idea, like gold being a currency, like that has been around for centuries, and it'll be with us, with humans, for centuries to come. And so I was just battling internally over that phrase of like, things are ever changing, adapt, overcome, but also know that there are first principles and there are things that do last. And so
I like that.
I just, so like certain phrases like that, like certain messages, I just want to have it on a T-shirt so that when I put it on and I look at myself in the mirror, it's like a reminder, you know?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. There's a lot of them. The Nature's Fitness Club one is probably one of my favorites too. That one, just because I'm outside. I'm outside.
Yeah.
In the yard, just that's what I do stuff. Just like you.
Yeah, like, you work out outside.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I started. I was like, during the pandemic, I was just outside snatching kettlebells, and so it became Nature's Fitness Club.
That's pretty cool. We're coming up right on about time, but I wanted to kind of, with that, there was something that, because of the timing of when you started a lot of this stuff, like you said, because of the pandemic, and it kind of was at a moment in time where that stuff was needed more than it ever was.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a really cool, because I'm trying to remember, isn't it the book, I think it's Outliers?
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell, where that's like part of his thesis essentially is like a lot of these guys that revolutionized things. Yes, they were smart and they had the idea, but they also had the idea at the exact right moment in history for that idea to work. you know, like it's kind of crazy. Like when, because training and strength training, like it's gone through its phases of all the old time stuff, the golden era. Then you get through all this stuff in the 90s, and then CrossFit explodes. And then it's like now people all of a sudden in one spring, it's like all that's gone. We need something else. And it's like there was a handful of people that came right in at a good time. It's like, hey, let's do this. And it was at the exact right moment that it was needed, that even if it was 6 months prior, might not have had the effect that it did. And like that kind of stuff, I think is always interesting, just to, whether it's true or not, I think it's interesting to just kind of think about where that stuff grew because of the timing of it also, not just the quality. Like it had to be at that time for it to blow up in the way that it did.
Yeah, I mean, kettlebells existed obviously for so long, but
exactly.
The popularity didn't increase until I think the pandemic, and just blew up. And I think that's like the power of the free market too, because people searched for that stuff, including me. Like, how can I train at home? And people, it's not just kettlebells that people found. Like, there was I don't know the guy's name, but he has I think YouTube and Instagram. But his whole thing was bands.
Okay.
Like home fitness with just bands.
Yeah.
I don't think that lasted more than like a couple years during like I get why some people adopted that during the pandemic, but like, are they going to continue doing that for years later? Probably not. But that was his whole thing. And then, like, if I had found Sandbags at that time, I probably, honestly, I don't even know if I would have touched kettlebells, to be honest. But anyway, I found kettlebells during I'd used them before, but I really only started using them a lot during the pandemic. And so I was part of that crowd too that you're talking about, where that, like, it's fun. I think you were like putting me in that like leader box at that time, but I think I rode the wave with people.
Yeah.
But I credit that to like everyone else who had
for sure
years of experience on me, who I learned from.
Yeah.
And I was able to like take lessons from during that time, just like thousands of other people at the time that were also like watching YouTube videos, watching Instagram, and learning. I was one of those people. I was on Reddit. Like, I was on all these forums, like talking to people about kettlebell training. I think that's also something you said about just like, I when I get into something, I like delve super deep into it.
Yeah.
Too. And that's sort of why I became part of the community too, I think, because I just like wanted to learn everything, and inevitably like get into conversations with people. I like wanted to, they were putting content out. I was like, oh, maybe I should put content out. So then I started making videos like that. And then eventually I just started teaching people what I've learned. And the longer that I'm in the space, the more I realize I don't know. But then I also like realize that there's like way too much information out there too. And it's like, for most people, like, there's just, how do you even know what's true or not anymore? Like, now the knees over toes guys, like, in one camp, but then you have like, I don't even know what they're called. Like, there's like a bunch of different camps where it's like people are battling over like I guess like the Joel Seedman, and like he's on the opposite camp.
Yeah.
And then it's like I don't even know, as a newbie, if you're like starting out, how do you even decipher what to do? And that's why I love this idea of first principles. It's like, what have people done for years? Because a lot of people now are popular because of the algorithm, and like they're putting out like, oh, this is like the new thing. This is the only thing you should be doing. And then that helps with what the algorithm decides is needed for like drama or so I'm glad that I found it when I did. And I also was into fitness before the pandemic, just for like, the record. And so that the years of experience is also very important. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent now.
There was a really funny trying to remember who said it. If I could find the post, I'll send it to you. But he was talking directly to coaches in his post who are sort of battling through the self-conscious, like, what do I post? Why should I post stuff? Like, how there's so much out there, kind of like the same thing you're saying, like there's so much out there, I don't want to add to noise or whatever. And he kind of said a similar idea, that he goes, if you've got the good information, you're like obligated to share it as a coach, because he's like, there should be no self-consciousness that exists with posting stuff. And he actually used Seedman, and he goes, in a world where Joel Seedman exists on Instagram posting stuff, he's like, you should not have any reservations about posting whatever you want, especially if you've got the good information.
For the record, I don't follow Joel Seedman. I just know who he is because of conversations like this. But I also, I really try, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I try to not be like super technical in my like verbiage.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed a lot of snake oil salesmen use very big words.
Yeah.
To explain. Exactly. Especially with fitness. And that's really annoying to me. So I just try to keep it like casual. Like at the end of the day, it's like, just destroy your muscles.
Go sweat, make things a little bit sore. Like you'll be fine.
Stretch, just do your stretches. All those people are anti-stretching these days too. But like, I don't know. First principle.
I love it, man. Well, dude, thank you for making some time. I'm glad we got to catch up and rap about some stuff for a little bit. So I know we've been talking a lot about it this whole time, but just one more time for everybody that's stuck around, where are all the links for your website, for the apparel, for everything, and you on Instagram?
Yeah. Website, bellmade.co, bellmade.co. I will be, again, just changing that up the next couple months. There will be an app eventually. Excited for that. For the apparel, Touchgrass.co, tgco.co, which is, I didn't say this in the interview, but I'm transitioning everything to be made out of bamboo. So they're literally touching. So you're literally touching grass. Yeah.
Yes.
Instagram, Eric does kettlebell. What else? I think it's it. I got some. Everyone always kept asking me like put Spotify playlists out there, so I like finally I put that on my bio finally. So if I want to check out the tunes that I listen to. I'm a big. I know, dude. Even listening to music while you're working out is controversial. David Goggins, like a couple years ago, he was like, you don't need music to work out. If you do, that's a crutch, and you're a bitch.
Everything's a crutch.
I'm like, God, now I can't even listen to music while I work out anymore. What the hell? Am I allowed to like drink water while I work out, or is that a crutch? Anyway, but yeah, Instagram, bellmade.co, touchgrass, or tgco.co. That should be it. Awesome. But yeah, no, I really appreciate this, Ross. This was a good chat. Time flew by. I don't even know what I said in this interview, so I hope I didn't say anything stupid.
I blacked out.
I always feel self-conscious when I'm being recorded. Like, what the hell am I going to say?
No, it was awesome, man. We'll have to catch up more than just once every year, even for a recording.
Dude, shoot me a message. We'll do this again. This is fun.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Eric.